Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Darius. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna be doing a review of Bad Boys for Life. I gotta say, I think the movie was pretty good. I really liked the beginning intro in Miami when Will Smith and Martin Lawrence character was driving through Miami to get to the hospital to see the baby. I really liked that scene. I liked the way how they filmed it. I liked the cinematography of them driving throughout Miami, seeing everything, and dodging traffic, all of that. I really liked that. It seemed very reminiscent to the second Bad Boys movie when they were driving through Miami basically to get to the bad guys. I just like the way the scene was shot. Um, I like the beginning intro to the prison with the villain, Isabel. I like the way how she was in a hospital. In the prison, and basically she like killed the guard and then took the guard's clothes and stuff like that to slip out of the prison. I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't seen anything like that before in a movie. I like the way that it was shot. It seems like something out of like a horror movie, basically, which was pretty interesting for a villain in an action movie. I just like the way it was shot, basically. It looked really cool. Let me see what other notes do I have. I also like the relationship between the main villain Isabel and her son Armando. I think that's how you pronounce it. It really reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises. Bane and anybody ever seen The Dark Knight Rises? The relationship that Bane has with I can't pronounce the name, Talil Al Ghul. The relationship they have, it seemed really reminiscent to her. Like he's Bane and he's basically following orders for her. I like the way how that's set up. That mother son relationship. I like the way how that was set up throughout the movie. I also like Will Smith's scene where he was foreshadowing the scene in the bar, basically when they were foreshadowing Will Smith's future and him having to start a family and stuff like that for the plot twist that comes later on in the movie. I like the way how that was set up. It sort of makes both Will Smith and Martin Lawrence characters seem realistic, that they will get to a point in their life where they're thinking about the future. Martin Lawrence character, he basically wants to retire. They're telling Will Smith his character needs to start a family. It seems like this making it more realistic. I like the way how that was set up in a movie. Also, basically, it hints at the plot twist that comes later on in the movie with Will Smith. I like the way how they were already setting that up early into the film. Um, I think the villain Armando was a very good villain. I like his fighting style in the movie. He seemed like he was very formidable for Will Smith and Martin Lawrence character. He just overall was completely deadly. Very good assassin. Like the way how he was just killing off all the targets he had to kill off. I just thought he was really cool. Him on a motorcycle, the weapons, all that. I thought he was really cool. Let me see. I didn't really expect Will Smith's character to get shot halfway through the movie. That really kind of, mostly in the beginning of the movie, I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't see that happening at all. I actually thought he was going to die the way they set it up. But that was a really cool plot twist how that happened. It was completely unexpected that he would get shot, and they almost basically set it up to make you think that he died. But really, they ended up cutting the scene and showed that it was Martin Lawrence's daughter's wedding. So I like the way they set that up. But I really did not think Will Smith would get shot in the movie. That I didn't see that happening. But I like the way they set that up. It was completely catches you off guard. Um, I didn't really expect Will Smith to be. I like the way how Martin Lawrence's character, Marcus, his religious faith played a role throughout the movie. I like the way that basically he wanted to retire and he started thinking more, praying for his friend Will Smith character when he got shot, and then him wanting to not get involved in any more violence and stuff like that. I like the way how they really set that up throughout the movie to make him want to change his ways, basically from being on a force for so long. He wants to, be more into God and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty interesting for his character, even though later on in the movie he ends up kind of forgetting that and has to go back to fighting bad guys. He still believes in God, but he still knows that he has to fight off bad guys. So I like the way how that played throughout the movie and how it sort of got him back into going more into a protector and fighting off bad guys or whatever like that in the movie. And I liked how that was done. Um, I always wanted to see more of the three ammo kids, the three police officer kids. I wish they could have had more backstory with them. One guy, the tall blonde guy, Dorn, I know they gave him a backstory, which I like that. It was something that they gave, but I wish they could have given them more to say, more to do, just like mostly, I don't know, make them evolve more, talk more about them so we can know more about their personalities, more of their history of how they got to ammo. I would have loved to see that, but, it was still cool either way. I like Michael Bay's cameo in the movie because I know he like directed the second one and I believe the first two movies. So I like to give him a cameo in it. I did also think DJ Khaled's cameo was hilarious. Although DJ Khaled is bad at acting, it was good that they gave him a cameo in it. I liked it. It was funny, and I just wish that his acting was better in that. But besides that, I thought his cameo was pretty funny as the butcher. I like the part at the end of the wedding, Martin Lawrence's daughter's wedding, when Marcus and Mike they got into an argument where Will Smith character Mike wants Marcus, which is Martin Lawrence's character. He wants him to help him find the person that's tracking him, but Martin Lawrence's character doesn't want to. So they have this real tension. I really thought that these two were going to break up, like they were going to completely like not work together ever again, but they still end up staying together. But I really thought that it caused tension between a relationship because they make you think that they're not going to get along and they're never going to work together again. But I like the way the scene was set up because it really adds tension to their relationship. It makes you really think that things aren't going to work for them ever again. Like this whole situation is really going to like completely stop their friendship. So it really felt like this was the end. When they had that tension at the end of the wedding in the kitchen scene. Um, I didn't really like the way Will Smith like sort of acted in the scene when he said, "This fool put holes in me." Some of that did feel a little cringy, but besides that, the scene was really had a lot of tension in it, and it felt real. Like they were really going to actually like end their friendship. So I really liked the way the scene was shot, but that probably was the only scene the dialogue I didn't like. But besides that, it was pretty good. And when he says the fool that put holes in me, that was the villain guy. But you'll see if you've seen the movie. I also like the theme of like an old generation, which is the ammo, the three police kids. The way how they were working with an older generation, which was Martin and Will Smith character. I like the way how they sort of brought the old and the new together to work as one. I really thought that was pretty cool. That whole theme of the older generation work with the new generation. I love seeing that in the movie. I thought that was pretty good. Uh, the garage shootout that they had, basically, where Will Smith was working with the new kids. I like that whole shootout. It was pretty cool. And the end scene where that guy like flew into like the pipe thing, whatever that was, where he just flew into. I thought that death was pretty cool. Um, the scene where Will Smith and Martin Lawrence they have to basically track down the CI that needs help from getting away from the new bad guy of the movie. I like the scene where Mart Will Smith had to drop off the baby, and at the spa and that whole sequence. I thought that was really funny the way how that was done. Just and then them going to pick up the CI that was talking that needed protection from the main villain of the movie, or the second villain of the movie. I like the way how Will Smith and that character got into a fight basically and fought outside. It kind of really reminded me of Gemini Man. It was another movie. It was pretty cool. And that whole fight sequence that they have on the roof and they fall over to the ground and then he hops on his motorcycle and he kicks Martin and then drives off. I love that whole sequence. And then also before then when he throws the guy off the roof and it falls into the van. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't see that coming at all. That whole sequence really well shot. The fight choreography was good. It really reminded me of Gemini Man, but even maybe better than that. So I liked the way they did that. The chief dying, I did not see that coming at all. That completely shocked me. He died suddenly. It was pretty brutal. I didn't think that was going to happen, but the way they did it was cool. You know, sorry, that was a message anyway. But the way how that was set up, I liked it. I mean, I didn't like it actually. But it was just like him dying. It was like, man, I remember him from the first two movies, and his sudden death was just like, it was so abrupt and just, man, I didn't see it coming, but, it's pretty harsh. But I did like the way that it brought Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's character back together to work to stop the bad guys. I liked the way that was going. But the thing that really interests me about the scene when Armando ends up killing the chief is that he doesn't want to kill anybody that's innocent, which I really thought that was pretty interesting because most villains would probably not care about, killing any innocent people, but he really decided like he just wanted to kill whoever he felt that he needed to kill. So that was pretty interesting because most villains just would just kill anybody, but he actually seemed to have more of a bit of a conscience to him. So I like the way that was done. I like the chase sequence from when they were in the club and they hopped. They were catching this bad guy. I forgot how to pronounce his name, Swalo or something like that. But they were chasing him from the club, and they got caught up and they almost had him, and then he had to still continue to run from him because his team was trying to save him. It was some guy that was working with the main villain, if you didn't remember. The whole chase sequence that I liked that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith had on that motorcycle, I loved that. It was funny. It almost felt like something out of a video game. It was so much action in it. But the way how they were shooting off and shooting the bad guys, I liked that whole sequence was just completely dope. I don't know, the way they filmed it was just good. Um, I did like some of the dialogue in it when Will Smith was saying like we're dangerous. When I think Martin said something about these are dangerous people or something like that, and he said no, we're dangerous people. I thought that line sounded really cool. Um, I like when Martin was trying to like not get involved in any violence, and Will Smith was like, "Violence is what we do." I thought that was dope. That line sounded really cool. Um, and then basically the plot twist that Will Smith's son in the movie ends up actually not Will Smith's son. Basically the killer of the movie, the assassin, he's actually Will Smith's son. I did not see that coming at all. That plot was pretty interesting. I didn't think that they would do that. I didn't see it coming. I liked the way that was set up. It just made it. I don't know. It was really interesting because they were already making foreshadows of Will Smith needing to start a family, and basically the main villain he's been fighting throughout the whole movie ends up being his son. So that was pretty interesting plot twist that they had. I didn't see that coming. Um, and then basically that talk that they had on the plane, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's character, the scene where they were on a plane to go to find the main villain. Uh, what's her name again? Isabella. I like that whole sequence they were talking and stuff like that. Martin Lawrence saying, "Why'd you hook up with a witch?" and all of that stuff like that. All that whole that commentary was funny, and all this that back and forth he was saying. I thought what he was saying, it was I could tell that was Martin. Was probably improvising whatever like that. I like that he added a lot more of his own comedy into it. You know, yeah, I like the way that whole sequence that they had on the plane. It was just funny. Uh, the shootout at the end of the movie in the palace was pretty good. The action was nice. I could see everything. Everything was clear. Like I said, cinematography was good. Fight choreography was together. You can actually understand what they were saying. You can see things. You can actually see everything was clear. I like the way how they set everything up in that shootout. Um, the scene where Martin basically was fighting against the main villain, where she was like hitting him with the knife, stuff like that. I really thought Martin's character was probably going to end up bleeding to death and dying the way that she was hurting him, but he was able to fight her off. So I like the way that was done too. Will Smith's fight with his son, basically Armando, that was a pretty intense fight scene. I never seen Will Smith in a fight scene like that before. It was really intense, and it was shot good. It really felt emotional and stuff like that. And, and it just, I like the way how basically Will Smith basically was saying a lot of different religious references throughout the movie. It felt like that really all came to a head at the end when they were fighting in the palace, and then a helicopter crashed into the palace, and it was fire and stuff like that. It felt like they were bringing everything back to the whole religious type of theme of the movie that Martin was talking about, not wanting to be part of any violence and stuff like that. I felt like it probably had something to do with everything they were saying about the whole religious aspect of it. But basically, at the end of the movie, when the main villain, which was the mother, Isabel, when she is stopped, I didn't think that she was going to die the way she died. They shot her, and then she fell over into the pit of fire. I didn't think she was going to die that way. That was pretty shocking, but the character is scary anyway, so, I guess it was only fitting that she would have a scary end. But, her also accidentally killing her son. I mean, well, not killing, but shooting her son when Armando jumped in front of Will Smith character. That was pretty shocking, but, I do like the way that Armando and Will Smith, they seem to want to mend their relationship and probably become father and son. That was pretty interesting. The ending of the movie, when Armando is in prison and Will Smith visits him, the way they set that up, it seemed like it's almost like a sort of like a. It's very similar to the movie Suicide Squad, where I'm guessing that Will Smith's going to have his son maybe work for him, or they're going to work together to take on bad guys or something like that, and then that's going to reduce his prison time. I guess that's what they're going to do. So it seems interesting. I hope that they make a sequel and we can see where that goes. But like I said, I think the movie was pretty good. I rate movies by giving them, either 1 star, two, three, four. So I give the movie 3 stars, 3 out of 4. I thought it was pretty good. I wish they could have just elaborated more on the three younger cop people ammo. I wish they could have elaborated them on a little bit more. I mean, like, evolved, fleshed out the characters more. Some of the dialogue I didn't really like. I thought some of it was kind of cheesy, but above all, the action was good. Like I said, the filming, cinematography, all that was good. Fight sequences were really good. I liked the storyline. I didn't see that plot twist coming. I'd recommend this movie. I thought it was pretty dope. Like I said, 4 out of 5. I'm 3 out of 4. Sorry, 3 out of 4 stars. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. The next movie I'll be reviewing will be A Fall from Grace, Tyler Perry's movie. Like, comment, subscribe, and for more content. Thanks.